In this video, I'm going to talk about how I found out that I have celiac disease, which is a genetic autoimmune disorder. I found out that I have it in August of 2024. At time of recording this, it's August of 2025. So I'm 1 year in, and I'm just going to kind of talk about some things that I've learned along the way. And I'm just making this for anybody else out there that just found out about it or is just curious. And I think it also goes without saying that I'm not a doctor. I'm just some guy on the internet. Don't take anything of what I'm saying as medical advice. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just putting this out there and sharing my story. Celiac disease is a lifelong autoimmune disorder that is triggered by gluten, which is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. In people with celiac disease, even the smallest amount of gluten sets off an immune reaction that damages the small intestine. The villi inside the small intestine are tiny finger-like projections that absorb nutrients, and when someone with celiac consumes gluten over a long period of time, the villi become blunted or worn down and are unable to do their job. When that happens, the body struggles to absorb essential nutrients, leading to malnutrition and a wide range of complications. Celiac disease can show up in lots of different ways, and not everyone experiences the same symptoms. Some symptoms are digestive, like diarrhea, bloating, and weight loss. Others extend beyond the gut, including anemia, osteoporosis, neurological problems, skin rashes, nervous system issues, and many more. In fact, over 200 different symptoms have been linked to celiac disease, and again, each person's symptoms are unique. It's important to know that the exact cause isn't fully understood. We do know it develops in people who are genetically susceptible, but environmental triggers also appear necessary for the disease to emerge. While many people are diagnosed in childhood, celiac disease can trigger at any point in life. The reason why some people develop symptoms early while others remain unaffected for decades is still a question researchers are working to answer. Over the last 5 years or so, I've kind of known there was something kind of off, and I would just kind of get lightheaded or start to temporarily feel dizzy. So I've been going to the doctor with symptoms like, hey, something's not right. I couldn't connect it to the diet, to food. It seemed to not just kind of happen sporadically. And maybe there's something else going on too. I don't want to, just because I found out that I have celiac disease doesn't mean there could be something else that's going on with me too. So I don't really know, but I did end up in the emergency room. I thought I was having an allergic reaction to a prescription that I took for extreme diarrhea. I thought I was having some really bad gastrointestinal symptoms. So I went to a doc in the box, like one of those in and out clinics, and I got a 5-day supply of a medication that was going to alleviate those symptoms. And it did not do that. It seemed to make it worse. And I was having really bad heart palpitations. So yeah, I ended up going to the emergency room, and they recommended me to see a gastroenterologist after ruling out all of the scary stuff, the nurse's words, I should say. But yeah, I then had this blood test done, and those values were very high. Specifically, the endomysial IgA was the one that kind of was like, holy shit. The normal value is between 1 and 10. I think it's a ratio less than 1 to 10, and mine was 2,560. So yeah, the gastroenterologist doctor called me on the phone and was like, yeah, with numbers that high, it's almost certain that you have celiac disease. So that's basically the whole scope of my diagnosis. I think to 100% confirm that you have celiac disease, you have to have a biopsy done, an upper endoscope. But they put you to sleep, put something down your throat, and then they take some small samples of your small intestine, which is right after the stomach. Because the small intestine gets damaged, I just didn't want to have that done. And also was just concerned about the cost, which, I don't want to have this turn into a video where I complain about the US healthcare system, because there's not enough time in the day for that. And either way, the treatment was going to be the same. The treatment was going to be a lifelong adherence to a gluten-free diet. About 6 or 7 months later, I had another round of blood tests done. I actually didn't have the endomysial IgA test done in March, but I think the lab kind of messed that up and forgot to run that test. Whatever, I'm going to have it done next month. The other tests, another one that I had done is the deaminated gliadin IgA. That was over 250. It was just a value. It could have been 251, could have been 400. I don't really know. But I had it done again in March after going gluten-free, and I was down to 37.2. So that's a significant improvement. And I got to say that I feel so much better after going gluten-free. It's amazing what this has done. But I will say that it wasn't immediate. So it's not like you go gluten-free and then a couple days later you start feeling better. I think over these last probably 5 or 6 months, I've really felt a lot better, but it took me a good half a year, man. I don't want to like sugarcoat this. And I think that's important to note too. Everybody's celiac disease is unique to them from my understanding. And there's over 200 known symptoms. And I've even met people that have no symptoms with it. They don't react at all. Like they don't have any negative symptoms. My symptoms are very negative, like very bad gastrointestinal symptoms, throwing up and getting these like violent like shakes. It seems to affect my nervous system and the anxiety. It really seems to bring that on. So after finding out that I had it and I had to go gluten-free and all that, and to be honest, I didn't even really know what celiac disease was. I didn't know what gluten was. I didn't know anything about this. Cutting out gluten is not easy. And, right now I'm living with my parents in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And I think in the South, it can be very difficult to find healthy food in general, but I'm also very fortunate that my parents are letting me live here, and we live really close to a grocery store where you can get fresh produce. So, in a lot of ways, I'm very privileged, and just trying to recognize that and know that it might not be as easy for you to deal with this. And I think it's important for you to take it seriously and to make some major changes to figure this thing out. Because I feel like if I were to just have let this thing linger, I don't know where I'd be. I would be in a world of hurt. That's for sure. Some of the first mistakes that I made were not taking the cross-contamination so seriously. My parents both eat gluten regularly, so it's sort of like I'm living in a place where gluten is all over the house. There's sort of a paranoia that I've developed about eating and clean. I've become sort of a germaphobe. The early days were tough, though. It's just because I was making all these changes to, cleaning up, eating gluten-free, and I was still feeling like shit. And still feeling like I had like really bad symptoms with it. So I think that's a real big frustration that I feel for you. You're going to make all these changes and then it's going to seem like nothing is getting better, but just give it time. Give it time and stick to it. And don't just say, fuck it, and then go eat a cake. So I think I mentioned this already, but kind of how long until I felt better. So let me see, diagnosed in August of 2024. And I would say around January or February, I started noticing a significant difference in how I was feeling and feeling like much better, but there's still some kind of lingering symptoms here and there. And then obviously when I accidentally eat gluten, it's like, it basically throws me out of whack for at least 2 or 3 days, sometimes as long as 6 or 7 days. And yeah, I'm also still feel like the symptoms are kind of changing too. So I'm only a year in. So talking to people that have been dealing with this for over a decade, they are a wealth of knowledge. And getting in touch with those people is definitely something that will help you. Okay, some physical changes. So yeah, I've definitely lost more weight than I would like. I'm 5'10", 5'11" maybe. Right now I'm about 150 pounds, which is too light. I was about 165 probably about a year and a half ago. But when I went gluten-free, I struggled with the calories. I'm basically just eating protein, fruits, vegetables, very, very specific brand of gluten-free bread that I've found. I've also cut out grains. I'm just slowly introducing new foods very timidly and cautiously, but I'm also working with a dietitian to work through all this. So yeah, I don't want to get too much in the weeds on the details and stuff, but I don't feel like I'm at a very healthy weight and I want to put more weight on, but I also want to do it the right way. The emotional impact. I think for me, I'm pretty unique that I don't have a huge social life. And I say I kind of have loner tendencies. But now that I have this celiac disease, I think it's just another reason to isolate myself. If I am invited out to eat or over to somebody's house where there's going to be food, it's just another thing to be cautious about and another convenient excuse to say no, if that makes any sense. And going out to eat, your choices are extremely limited. Here in the Southeast especially, it's really difficult to find anywhere that is 100% gluten-free. Man, I don't trust somebody in a restaurant that may or may not know anything about celiac disease. I don't trust them to keep my food safe. In my opinion, I'm just well, why take the risk? I know there's apps that, Atlee and Find Me Gluten-Free. There's all these apps and new things that you can use, but I would just rather make my own food. That's kind of where I'm at right now in year one. I'm not saying that you have to do that too. I just think that's the path that I went. That's I have not eaten out in over a year. That it is what it is. Another thing that's related to the emotional impact is just finding support. And I'm really lucky that I have such a good hospital that's fairly close to me, and they were able to get me in touch with the National Celiac Association and some local groups. And I would encourage you to do that. If you're going through this and you're trying to just figure it out, definitely seek help. And there's a lot of things online. You don't have to like go drive somewhere to some meeting in some big city. I know I've met several times with a young adults with celiac group, and it's just kind of like a chit chat thing. Yeah, that's been really helpful. I would definitely encourage you to do that and carve out some time to get in touch with other people that also have it. There's a bit of a learning curve. Before I found out about this, I had no dietary restrictions at all. Just whatever, man, just eating whatever. I got some old clips. Maybe I'll put in an old clip of where I'm just eating some trash out on a trail or something. I definitely have eaten my fair share of gluten over my life and a lot of bread. You know, thinking back on it, I was definitely eating a lot of like low quality foods. I think now I've made like a complete 180. I go for the highest quality ingredients that I can find. And, you know, to be honest, if I look at the ingredients on the back of something and it's like a huge paragraph, I'm just like, you know what? I don't need it. I'm looking for like all natural whole foods. And a lot of times I would just rather cook something for myself than deal with a lot of these preservatives and processed chemicals that are in foods. So I've kind of gone a 180 with what I put into my body. Yeah, the cross-contamination thing was a bit of a learning curve for me. Right now, because I'm living with two people that also eat gluten, what I've done is I have like a cabinet that I keep all my dishes in. I have my own separate dishes and cookware, and I keep it all in this cabinet. I kind of cook at a certain area in the kitchen that I clean before I cook, and then after I eat. It's sort of like a process that I've developed, and I think you'll hopefully find your own rhythm. Keeping all your cookware and stuff separate is been something that's really helped, I think. There's definitely been a lot of changes in the house that I live, but again, I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to move back in with my parents, which is definitely not where I want to be at age 38. But what can I do, man? I think this is the best case scenario, and it could be way worse. So I am just trying to be humble and know that I have a lot to be thankful for, even through all this. And that definitely helps too, is just keeping your mind focused and not giving in to the negativity, which is easier said than done, especially after you've just been accidentally glutened, or if you're having symptoms and you don't even know what you ate that was causing it. So there's a lot of frustration, man, and just know that there's help and there's support out there, and you don't have to do it alone. Eating out and travel. So as I said earlier, I haven't gone out to eat in over a year, and I'm really not in a hurry to get there either. And travel this past year has basically been non-existent. I haven't gone anywhere outside of the Tennessee area, which really sucks, man. If you're familiar with any of I have a travel and hiking YouTube channel. So it's been a big part of my life for the last 10 years. I love to travel, and I do feel like a lot of that has been taken from me. And hopefully I can get back to finding a way to make that a big part of my life, and would like to go to some areas where I know gluten-free is really safe. The Pacific Northwest is an area where I would like to go, and I hear that gluten-free is very popular there, and it's well known. And there's some other places in Europe where that's true as well. So that's encouraging to me, is just trying to try to keep my eye on the ball and keep it level, keep this thing under control, and then maybe I can start thinking about traveling again, and also moving up out of my parents' house would be nice. Yeah, just slowly moving ahead with this thing. I don't know, with this whole thing, I'm just really glad that I know what's causing me harm, what's making me feel like shit. I'm just glad that I know there's some people that go decades without figuring out that they have this. So yeah, I also feel like I'm just really fortunate to know. Some of the hidden challenges that you might have is even non-gluten foods might give you trouble. For me, when I first went gluten-free, I was eating a lot of like salad wraps, and I would make this like cabbage and egg frittata thing. I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm an expert cook because I'm not at all. I was never much of a foodie. That's one thing to know, is that even like naturally gluten-free food could be giving you issues, especially if your small intestine is damaged. And it's just important to know that that's definitely one of the hidden challenges. Another thing is that this is going to be kind of expensive, especially if you're going to buy a lot of the gluten-free food. Because, I mean, let me say this. So there's a lot of food out there that is now gluten-free. And when I tell people that I have celiac disease and I have to avoid gluten, like the plague. You know, it's not something that I can just, oh, well, I have a little bit of gluten. It's not like that at all. But when I tell people I have to avoid it, they often like, oh, well, you can find gluten-free everywhere now. It's great. And that's true. It's definitely true. I'm not saying I don't want to, but I just know that some of that gluten-free food is not good for you. So I think I'm looking at it as an opportunity to really change my diet and really start to be healthy with what I eat and decide to put in my body. You know, here in the United States, we're not known, especially the southern United States, we're not known for having the best food options for healthy food. So that is definitely a challenge. And the gluten-free branded food is oftentimes very expensive. So a big hidden challenge is that it's just the mental load of like thinking about what you're going to eat and planning ahead. It's like, it's such a fucking process. It's not as simple as just throwing a sandwich into a lunchbox anymore, although it can be. And I guess I just haven't really found my rhythm in this first year with going out. It's just kind of a mental load of always having what I eat and consume. And I feel like I'm just oversensitive about any kind of stomach issues. Everybody, whether you're watching this and you don't have celiac disease, everybody knows what it's like to have the shits or to, you know, have a stomach ache. It's sort of like in the back of my mind, now whenever I have that, I'm like, oh no, did I eat gluten? Are my next 3 days completely fucked now? What did I eat? I guess that's how it's going to be. So what helped me the most? I've kind of already touched on this in some of the other points, but having a good dietitian that you're constantly in contact with and seeing a gastroenterologist and just staying in touch with your medical professionals so you're getting the right care, you're getting the proper care for this thing. Because again, I'm not an expert, I'm not trying to give you any medical advice, but I encourage you to seek them out and take their advice. And it's okay to see someone else if you feel like they're not doing their due diligence about your ailments. Find a rhythm with everything. I would love to be out traveling but I feel like if I'm going to go do that and force myself to go travel somewhere, I could end up in a world of hurt. And in a world of hurt in a foreign land is a place that I have been before, and it is not fun. And I don't want to take for granted the fact that I have relied on my family here, and I'm very appreciative of that. And if you can put yourself in a place where you have the ability to, I don't want to say to rely on other people, but to make it easy on some of your loved ones to be able to help you out is something that will really help you, I think. Another thing that has helped is just knowing that I have certain foods on hand that I know are safe. So what really sucked early on was being like hungry and not really having anything that I wanted to eat in the house. So trying to keep yourself stocked with stuff and not running out of those certain foods, and not like overly eating too much of that one safe food, knowing like in moderation and just trying to force a variety in your diet is something that has really helped me. You really do need a diverse range of foods to keep that gut biome healthy. Encouragement. I just want to offer some words of encouragement if there's anybody out there that's dealing with this and they're just shocked about it and they don't know what to do. Hopefully this video helps. And I just want to say that healing is going to take time. It's not something that's going to go away in the next couple weeks. And as painful as that is to hear, it's the truth. There's small ups and downs, and just take the small victories. You know, if you find that food that, you know, doesn't make you feel like shit and lifts your energy levels, just take that as a win and celebrate that. And just know that this will get easier, and also that you're not alone. I know I've kind of already tried to put a lot of words of encouragement in this because I know this thing sucks, man. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. It sucks to like have your, you know, all of a sudden you want to just go out for a quick bite to eat or swing in somewhere. It's sort of something that can take over a big portion of your life. And don't let it do that. Fight back at this fucking thing, and just know that maybe one day there'll be a cure and we can all eat cake together. That will be a cool club to be in. Reach out and get in touch with some people, and also just go easy on the internet. You can get in some dark holes and people acting like they know what they're talking about. And I get a red flag when it's like the person who's telling me about all these ailments that I might have is also the person that's selling me all these supplements. Kind of have your guard up when you're researching a lot of this, especially here on YouTube. There's so many people that have a vested interest in selling you something. I'm not going to let this run my life. I figured what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a follow-up video on celiac disease in 1 year. So today is August 24th, 2025. And I'll just document my, process on a yearly basis. So I don't want this to run my life. I don't want to like mention it in every video that I upload. I still want to keep a travel and hiking YouTube channel. I'm not looking for pity in this. I'm not looking for anything. I really do hope this video helps somebody out there that has recently found out that they have celiac disease. And again, just encourage you to reach out and find some of the proper resources. I'll put some links below. Definitely feel free to check those out. Definitely leave me a comment below if you want, and I'll try to respond if I can. But thanks for watching. Best of luck to you, and we'll see you in the next one.